It is Wednesday, the 24th of July, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Social Service Unit is ready to provide comprehensive psychosocial support to aid in the recovery of Police Constable Shakada Charles. This revealed by Commissioner of Police earlier here with Christopher, who gave an update on Constable Charles, who was shot in the chest while driving a marked police vehicle in the company of other officers of the Guard and Emergency Branch on patrol on Piccadilly Street in Port of Spain. Police reports said the officers heard loud explosions emanating from St. Paul Street. Upon approaching, they observed a silver seven-seater vehicle with sliding doors opened, with loud explosions heard. PC Charles felt a burning sensation in his chest. Upon checking, he realized he had been shot. He was taken to a medical facility for treatment and is currently in serious but stable condition. Commissioner Christopher extends heartfelt wishes for PC Charles' swift and full recovery. Every officer in the TTPS is committed to maintaining the safety, peace, and security of our beloved nation. Meanwhile, the suspect in the shooting of PC Charles has been killed. Police reports indicate around 1 a.m. on Wednesday, officers of the Guard and Emergency Branch, led by Senior Superintendent Eli and Superintendent Frank, received intelligence that the suspects in the shooting of Constable Charles were observed in the Sealots community. Officers went to a home in Production Avenue. Upon entering, a police constable was allegedly attacked by a man wielding a cutlass. The man allegedly swung at the officer, hitting him in the head. The officer was wearing a helmet at the time. The blade did not cause serious injury. However, the two officers on the scene fired on the suspect. He was taken to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The suspect has not yet been positively ID'd as of 9 a.m., with officials being told he's known in the community as Johnny Boy. A black Honda Vezel was removed from the scene and conveyed to the Special Evidence Recovery Unit for processing. The owner of the SUV was detained and is expected to be questioned. 6 fired workers of the Strategic Services Agency are calling on the agency's director, Anthony Philip Spencer, to clear their names in any alleged involvement in a plot to overthrow the political leadership in the country. President of the National Contract Workers and General Employees Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Christopher Jofield, confirmed the union represents the 6 fired workers. He said a meeting was held last week at the SSA's Sackville Street offices, where the requests, among others, were placed on the mediation table. Prime Minister Dr. Kate Rodley delivered a statement in the Parliament on July 3rd, where he said the SSA was compromised with the establishment of a militarized operational unit and was infiltrated by a religious cult that wanted to replace the country's political leadership. The Ministry of Health says there are 58 additional lab-confirmed cases of dengue in the country, bringing the total number of cases to 450 lab-confirmed cases. Confirmed deaths remains at 4. The ministry said in a media release yesterday, on July 20th, the ministry confirmed 392 cases of dengue. It yesterday reminded the public that dengue may be spread by the bite of an infected Aedes aegypti mosquito. Symptoms include headaches, fevers, sometimes pain behind the eyes, muscles and joint pain, skin rash, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. The symptoms appear within 5 to 6 days of being bitten by mosquitoes, and persons who suspect they may be infected should seek medical attention immediately. The opposition UNC is expressing concern with the latest move by the central bank to reduce the liquidity reserve ratio from 14 to 10%. The UNC claims the move will see approximately $4 billion being injected into monetary circulation. Opposition Member of Parliament Dave Tanko hopes the result in lower interest rates will stimulate loan investment. Representatives from 3 political parties, including the NTA, Hope Party, and Congress of the People, en route to a political alliance, will make their debut collective appearance at the Red House on Saturday for the wreath-laying ceremony marking the 34th anniversary of the 1990 attempted coup. It's confirmed by Hope leader Timothy Hamel-Smith. Hope has been in discussions with strategic alliances with Gary Griffith's NTA, the COP headed by interim leader Kurt Sinnett. Other groups have joined into the effort. Wilfred Barker, known in the Calypso Arena as Young Creole, has passed away. National Action Cultural Committee, NACC, says the 87-year-old Young Creole was ailing for some time and passed away at the Mount Hope Hospital on Monday at 3 12:56 p.m. Young Creole is one of several artists who recently honored by the NACC for their pioneering contribution to the development of calypso and other indigenous art forms by being a part of the Black Traditions and Art Concert series during the 1970s. In Guyana, opposition political parties, the People's National Congress, and the Alliance for Change are calling for an investigation to be conducted into 397 million Parima airstrip project in Region 7. Leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, raised the issue recently and said legal action should be taken against the contractor for failing to deliver an airstrip that is safe for use. And finally, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris says Donald Trump wants to take our country backward. Speaking at a campaign rally in Milwaukee in the critical swing state of Wisconsin, Harris said she will spend the coming weeks uniting the Democratic Party. She was addressing voters for the first time since she secured enough support to become the Democratic Party's nominee for president after being endorsed by President Joe Biden. And U.S. Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle resigned after security failures surrounding the assassination attempt and former President Donald Trump. On her resignation letter, Ms. Cheadle says she's always put the needs of the agency first, and it was with a heavy heart she was made the decision. She faced calls from both Democrats, Republicans, and independents to step down after a contentious House committee hearing on Monday about the incident. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming up at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
It is Hump Day Wednesday. That's right. It's Hump Day. The weekend is in sight. 9 minutes after the hour of overcast in Port of Spain and the East-West Corridor. In Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Full casting this morning. You just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Shane and Ruben in the mix. And, of course, my name is Steve Khan. All right. Good morning to you. So, Paul Richards, what's happening?
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. It's a rainy Wednesday morning. Y'all be careful on the roads, please.
Yes, please be careful. Boy, I got stuck in a rain in the East-West Corridor. That thing was pounding yesterday afternoon. Pounding. I did not get soaked. I had to come out of the car, but thank goodness I have an umbrella. So, yeah, that was some rain. It's quite overcast. It is 25 degrees at both Piarco and at Crown Point. Met Office has not updated their weather yet, so give it to you in a bit. But let's see what's happening on the highways and the byways at this time. I thought it was pretty busy this morning. We got some traffic on the highway pretty much from McCoy. Some volume there. A little heavier from the Valsain heading into Port of Spain. San Fernando, Solomon Hotel, Uriah Butler, I got nothing to tell you. All right, let's use Sunday's hellos this morning. God Celia, DJ Ray out in Delaware, Wendy and James, Edwin Marshall out in Switzerland. Good morning to Edwin. Hope all is well across there. Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago. Wayne Bennett in Covington, Georgia. D. Pierre, Rena Boodoo Jennings, Brent Hackshaw, Waibid Daisy, Carol Guevara, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Felix Cazo, good morning to you. A wet day in Maloney it is. Josie Richardson, Ian Lee out in London, Cynthia Aaron, Gloria Gray, David Wares, and of course, Mrs. Wares. Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, Oliver Man Warren, Slick Money Grip, and of course, good morning to AV, says Maria Celia, Brenda Isaac, Nikisha Pear, Bisnath Basad, look at messages, thank you so much. CJ out in New York, Showin Ke, Anthony Miguel, thank you so much for sending us a message this morning. We have Michael in London, we got Dan Raj, We do have David Nelson, Sankofa. Good morning to you guys. Thank you so much for hitting us up a message. We do love it on the Power Breakfast Show. Vincent out in the UK. Good morning too. Thank you so much. Good morning, Wendell.
Good morning. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Richard. Trinidad and Tobago and listeners all over the globe. It's a wet morning.
It's lovely.
Huh?
It's lovely.
No. Oh.
It's lovely.
No.
Yes, it is. Your plants
I
are going
say,
yeah,
I
yeah.
You don't like wet?
No, I like to wet things myself. Let me dry and let me wet it myself.
Sometimes it'd be good to meet it with moisture, you know.
You know how much stress wetness this put people through? Dryness don't put nobody through no stress, you know. When it's hot and dry, you don't go through
Dryness
stress.
is put you through stress.
You go inside and you cool down. That's what you do. But when it's wet, very little places you could go.
What? Your experience is clearly different. Your experience is clearly different to mine.
No, let me wet it. Let me wet down the place myself.
No, sometimes it's come with moisture. God understood the importance of moisture. That's why so much ocean and water all over the planet. The planet is 3/4 covered by water, you know.
God understood the importance of water, why you could control it when you want it. That's why he understands the importance of anything that is liquid, that you could get it when you need it and not washing down on you all the time.
But you don't like it washing down on you all the time?
No.
We have clearly different approaches.
Yeah.
Wash me down. According to Johnny King, wet me down.
Wet me down. The God no water.
Oh,
It had
God.
so many tunes about water. It had a lot of tunes about water, I have to admit.
Oh, yes, because water is so...
About sun.
Water is life, you know.
I know. I understand.
You know that, right? Okay.
I understand that. I just think it brings a lot of stress sometimes.
No, it doesn't. If without water, the plants won't grow. You ain't got nothing to eat. Cows and chickens. Come on, you need water for life. Water is life.
No, I understand all that, and that's what I'm saying. Water is there to be stored and used when necessary.
Oh, yeah, asking some hard questions in the chat this morning.
Who took the cup out? Who cup? COP as in the political party?
614.
They made a statement?
614.
The COP made a statement, Andrew?
614.
Okay. Who, the boxer guy? Is another guy with a boxer guy is in charge now?
Clearly didn't hear the news, sir.
No, I didn't hear the news.
There are 3 political parties that are supposed to get together with their first public appearance on Saturday, wherein they will form a political alliance, sir.
COP, Hope, and whom?
NTA.
I just know Hope is part of that.
NTA.
NTA?
According to the news report.
COP, Hope, and NTA? Okay. All the best. All the very best.
After my hard work over the last couple of weeks, we have, I think it's Dr. Wayne Head at 7:10 this morning.
Oh, yes. I look forward to speaking with Watchman, Dr. Wayne Head. I don't think I've ever interviewed him.
Yes.
Coming to think of it. Maybe way back in the day with Gladiator or somebody, but I don't think I've ever interviewed him. You know, but I know that he has released a lot of voice notes and so on. They're very long. Sometimes I can't finish listening. They're very long voice notes he releases, you know. So I look forward to, I'm sure a lot of people look forward to hearing from him. He speaks in this slow, measured tone. So just know that from earlier o'clock.
Coming to us live from Kampala, Uganda.
Yes, he's still out in Uganda. Nice. One of the places that I intend to visit, God willing.
There's plenty of water here. There's plenty of water there.
I would imagine. Okay. Nice African water.
And your car always control it, yeah? So.
Nice African water. You know, I wanted to weigh in on this Brian Lara thing. You know, I believe Brian Lara that what he said. But I'll tell you why I think Hooper and Richards upset, especially Hooper, more so Hooper, because I think he would have told Brian Lara that off the record. I think he would have mentioned that to Brian Lara in their conversations over the years, because Brian Lara didn't have a long time with Viv Richards. I think he only played one test match actually with Viv Richards. So he didn't have a lot of Viv Richards to deal with. But I think Hooper would have. And Hooper might have mentioned it to him. And the fact that Brian Lara put it in his book, I think that's what upset Hooper. And Viv must be called Hooper and say, boy, how you can tell the man I hear you crying, boy, you cannot rule him so.
He also said he also said he cried every 3 weeks.
Right.
As opposed to Hooper's weekly cries.
Right. Well, you could just tell
it's
Hooper.
big grown men talking about how much time I'm on the cry. Really? In sport?
I've been around cricket a long time, right? And I've watched all of these guys play. You could just tell Carl Hooper is
Wendell, Steve Khan, and audience.
Yeah.
In any high-stakes sports around the world, the locker room, the coach, the captains are going, Wendell, I don't think you played very well today, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't have dropped that catch, you know. And I thought that you should have covered your silly mid-off more carefully. That's not the nature of the conversation, huh?
No.
Okay. So if you want to go and cry after that, that's your business.
Exactly. You understand? So, and Viv Richards, if you just had a look at Viv Richards all now, and could tell that man has an air of arrogance and a perfection. Because that's how he was. He was a perfectionist. He was so talented. Viv Richards would get hit in his face, get hit in his mouth at time, chew and spit out blood, and next ball he had the man for 6.
Volleyball and tennis and some football when I was at Hillview. And the coach after the match, they used to Richards, I don't think you played very well today. You didn't give us your all. Your enthusiasm is lacking. And I think you should up that enthusiasm next match. His level cost you again. Wrong with you? Well, you ain't today out.
Yeah.
If you want to go and cry after that or lead the team, that's your business.
Yeah.
That is the nature of hardcore sports.
What I didn't like where the story went is that Richards was abusing people. Surely that is not abuse. I mean, maybe in today's age, people say so.
In today's date, may be considered abusive, but as I said before, it is high stakes international sport.
Yes.
It is not a tea party.
Yes. And if Hooper was a cry baby, well, so be it. He was a very talented cry baby. That's what I can say.
And let me tell you what they can discount. What they cannot discount, because that's his personal experience. If Brian Lara said he cried every 3 weeks, nobody could discount that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes. And Brian may very well have cried more than that. Because I telling you, Viv Richards wasn't easy then and he's not easy now.
And I'm not aware. I'm unaware.
Clive Lloyd wasn't easy either as the captain of the team before Viv Richards. And fellas and them was on cricket, you know. The cricket was their entire life. And they were
and in those days, the West Indies was a formidable entity.
Yeah.
You don't get to be a formidable entity in international high-stakes sports by being polite in the locker room.
Exactly.
Let's be serious and real here.
I don't know why they make another issue. Maybe it's
and all that will do is sell more books.
Yeah.
Good for Brian Lara.
Very good for him. I'm happy for him.
What are you going to do? Take him to court and say, I take you to court for slander because you say I cry?
Yeah. When somebody writes another book now on Brian Lara, then we will get to find out what kind of person Brian Lara was. Because I know Brian. I played cricket with Brian already. I know him. And he's not easy to deal with either. You understand? And I'm sure people would have had their own experiences with Brian.
Like in any high-stakes sport environment.
Yeah.
Where you feel Neymar them never get cussed out from the coach.
Yeah.
You understand? Look, he's missed me this morning.
Yeah, I find that was
missed me this morning.
A big blowout. You have about nothing.
The police officer who was shot has been ID'd as Shakada Charles, PC Shakada Charles. And we wish him a full, speedy recovery.
He's in
What's
stable
that
condition.
story? Somebody sent me a picture of a police officer and then said something about some shooting. And then, but I don't know the story. What did this happen?
Well, there was a series of explosions around the St. Paul Street area on is it Sunday or Monday night? Today's Wednesday, Monday night. The officers in a marked police vehicle driven by PC Shakada Charles went to investigate, and he felt a burning in his chest while driving the marked police vehicle in the company of other officers of the Guard and Emergency Branch in patrol along Piccadilly Street.
Oh.
And
so is it stray bullet or they fired upon the police vehicle?
I don't know. That wasn't stated. They observed a silver 7-seater vehicle, the sliding doors open, and several loud explosions heard. And PC Charles felt a burning sensation. He was rushed to a medical facility. I think up to the before yesterday, he was in critical at one point, but then he was stabilized. And I think they were calling for blood or platelets, I should say. He needed platelets.
Oh.
Of course, subsequent to that, officers of the GEB, led by Senior Sup Eli and Superintendent Frank, received intelligence that the suspects in the shooting of Constable Charles were observed in the Sealots area. They went to a home on Production Avenue, and according to the reports, upon entering, a police corporal was attacked by a man wielding a cutlass. The man allegedly swung the cutlass at the corporal, hitting him in the head. He was not injured. The officers opened fire, and he was shot in the head, taken to the Port of Spain General Hospital, and pronounced dead on arrival. Interestingly, in spite of the fact that they said they were suspects, the man could not be positively ID'd as at 9 a.m. yesterday. He was just known as Johnny Boy. Of course, the persons in the area have a different account of the story. And I asked this stupid question again. I'm going to ask this stupid question over and over and over. Because the officers of the GD, knowing that their colleague had been shot, went to Sealots acting on intelligence, looking for the potential perpetrators. And I asked the question again. Do we have body cam footage of the man attacking the officers with the cutlass?
Yes.
I asked this stupid question again.
Well, I answered you
and
stupidly.
await an answer. While my hair continues to grow gray on my chinny chin chin.
I answered you stupidly. I said yes.
And then let me bring up a story here. And it was even aired on US News yesterday. An elderly lady called the police to say she thinks there's an intruder. They're trying to get in the house. A police officer arrived. Another police officer arrived. The lady went in the kitchen. She picked up a pot of boiling water, which she had on the stove. The police officer thought she was going to throw it on him. He fired his weapon, struck her in the head, and killed her. The officer did not put on his body cam. The other officer did. And it painted the entire picture in which the relatives also said, thank goodness for the body cams. That officer is now in jail and is on a murder charge. But the point is, these body cams, it is their word against their word.
And gentlemen, should I say this?
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
Maybe there's just selective use of body cams in certain circumstances.
It is.
Selective use? You see
It is.
Oh, I've been kind of being diplomatic.
They're not going to
They
use
don't
it.
want the body cams to show what they really
do. Jump out yourself yesterday, and we were talking about the St. Augustine situation, where the commissioner, DCP Suzette Martin, is it?
Yes.
upon being questioned at the JSC and asked about whether the officers in that exchange were body cams, and they did not know. Weeks after the incident, Commissioner had no information with a report. The person said, so what? Hopefully one day is not your family at the receiving end. And hopefully you don't need answers if it's your family. And I'm not saying the police are wrong, you know. What we are saying is that the police commissioner and commissioners in the past are on record. At least McDonald Jacob, former Commissioner Griffith, and the sitting commissioner are on record as saying that body cams are part of standard operating procedure. In particular reference to high stakes, high risk incident. Am I wrong?
You see me on discussing TTPS.
Right. So,
I have enough stress from TTPS. I don't need no
burying your head in the sand and not demand accountability, even when the police are doing their duty in the right. It is about accountability. Okay? But apparently, it's okay not to have it on sometimes. So the story cannot be corroborated because it suits your purpose. Anyway.
Well, they actually, all right. The incident at City Gate, was it was a transit police officer, right? It was an officer assigned to the transit unit, right?
It make no difference to me.
No, okay. So maybe they should have body cams, because certainly we would have gotten a fair idea of that particular incident that they reported. Because don't the police generally, this is a serious question, don't the police generally have a problem when civilians intervene and when they doing an arrest or detaining anybody? Don't they have a problem? Stay away from here. None of your business.
No,
don't they generally have a problem?
I think you need to contextualize that. It is not them having a problem, to be fair. It is if you are interfering with the police in the execution of the duty.
Well, most times, even if you're just wrong with your cell phone, Paul, they have a problem with that.
I think they've come to the realization you can't stop somebody from filming them. That's been clearly stated. But
It is in
the context of police executing their lawful duty, and somebody is trying to impede that. That is the context in which the police say, move away from here.
And that is subjective to them. That impediment is subjective to them at the point
as it should be.
Right.
As it should be.
Okay. So to charge a man who you say you call on to help, right? Nobody cam footage. Nobody. It's also strange. Nobody in hand footage like that.
Wendell, you being polite. That whole thing was dutishness.
Oh God.
That whole thing was dutishness. That going back for the man who, because he tell you no rough, was dutishness. Okay? It didn't help the cause at all. Come on.
And you see, that is one instant that we know about.
So
you know what will be sad about that case, really? Well, the reality of that case, that man will probably win that case.
Of course.
He'll probably sue the state.
And I wasn't feeling I wasn't feeling well that day. I had some personal issue. I didn't want to interview me because I didn't want to go past the ambits of the law. So I told the officer,
he'll probably sue the state, he'll win, and that police officer will not pay any penalty.
No. You're going, he sued the state, that will affect me.
Yeah, I want to share something with you, goodly gentlemen and people.
Oh God. I talk TTPS, Ease me up with the TTPS talk now.
But we're talking national security. It's important. Here, listen to this.
And then we're going with Wayne Hate. Well, there's plenty TTPS talk there.
Minister Hines, you are now the longest serving national security minister in a decade. Minister, are you satisfied with your tenure as minister?
Well, that is not for me to judge. What I'm satisfied is that I give my mind, my time, my heart, and my soul to my work as minister, and I do so very proudly and very confidently. But I do understand what my role and responsibilities are, and I understand full well what all the other roles and responsibilities are. I made it very clear at the beginning of this. There's where it was at. So I do my part, and I do it thoroughly, and I do it wholeheartedly. But to judge, that will not be for me.
Let's forget the opposition then. For members of the public who are saying it might be time for you to step down, what would you say to them?
Well, this is a democratic society, and they are free to express their views.
What's your response to them?
They are free to express their views.
Which you believe you are the best person for the job?
They are free to express their views. You can't begrudge them of that.
No, I'm asking now. I'm asking now.
That's what I say. Everyone is free to express their views.
You know,
Now, playing that video, and let me go to this. There was an attempted assassination on Donald Trump a couple of Saturdays ago. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, I think, resigned because of that.
And before the resignation, Steve, did you see the interrogation of her leadership?
Well, I go in there now. One telling her, listen, you on shh.
Our reporters are ready.
No, they're not ready. They're not ready.
Those were different circumstances.
It's called accountability.
Different circumstances. And
Yeah.
you cannot, I always say, you cannot force the answer out of someone that you want.
Yeah.
But very often I think the reporters are intimidated. And for whatever reason.
I'll tell you something that I think I am. Because I spent so much time around a previous Minister of National Security who was the longest serving Minister of National Security we have had in this country. You know, national security, that ministry is the hardest ministry to run. Trust me. It is a ministry that you probably will never succeed at in terms of statistics and so on, right? But it's a ministry that a prime minister would use someone who they trust implicitly in. So I could see why Minister Hines was placed there and will probably remain there, you know. You understand? Because it is someone who you have to trust and who you expect at some point in time to get the job done. Now, Martin Joseph, as you know, is a different character to Minister Hines. Martin Joseph was how I should put it, very, very committed to that job, as I'm sure Minister Hines is. But as I said, Martin Joseph didn't always want that job. He didn't always want to be in that job. And the then Prime Minister Patrick Manning said, no, I want you there. I have nobody else there to put there. You understand? Those are my words, of course, right? But it is a job that you have to have someone there who you can trust. And that's the reason why I see Minister Hines being there. And he would have had experience as Minister Joseph's minister in the ministry at the point in time. Junior minister. He was junior minister to Martin Joseph. So I could see that happening. Under the People's Partnership, they change ministers once a year. You understand? Sometimes 2 in 1 year. You know, they had 5 substantive ministers and about 3 ministers in the ministry. You understand? So I could see why they would have a problem with somebody remaining in office despite all the criticism, because they, on the drop of a hat, they changed the minister. You understand? And that can't work. I'm sorry. It didn't work for them, and I don't know if it's working for us. You know? Only time will tell. Because just like the Commissioner of Police, they judge a Minister of National Security based on these murder statistics. They don't judge that minister on any other aspect of that ministry. You understand? Because we used to talk forensics on a weekly basis here. We haven't had to talk about them for a while.
Shall we open the phone?
Yes, we can. Well, when Steve returns. Yeah.
Well, the minister said that the assessment of his performance is not within his purview, correct? It certainly is up to the Prime Minister to decide on whether or not the minister is doing an adequate job as any other minister. But the public also has a view.
Yeah, and the public have been expressing their views all the time.
Exactly.
You understand? They've been expressing their views about Minister Hines for even before he became Minister of National Security. You know?
That's true.
They've had a view. They've had a view, you know? So if he's a strong, resilient person, I don't think it'll bother him. Certainly it bothered Martin after a while.
I think
can tell you that.
I think after a certain number of years in active politics, you kind of get immune.
Yeah.
One way or the other. Good morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to our listeners wherever you are.
Good morning, Rich. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
But you see, the US is a different place, eh? They have such a huge
completely
Congress that when public officials fail as magnificently as Kim Cheetle did, it's a fait accompli. I think she went into those congressional hearings knowing that she was already going to resign, that her tenure was no longer sustainable.
Yep.
I think she went in knowing that there was no other way, and she just decided, you know, I might as well not compromise the investigation by saying anything because mature done bus already.
The fact that America could have footage of the sniper and of someone of a Secret Service agent also there aiming at the sniper, the fact that they can have footage like that speaks about their society. They actually have images of that. You understand?
But people had reported the sniper before, not so only police had gone.
And people reported the sniper.
They did.
Yes.
They said there's someone with a rifle pointing at the podium.
Yeah, and the police had investigated it, and the police couldn't get into the building, and they propped up one on top the other, and he perched over the roof and saw him, and the guy aimed the rifle at him, and he ducked down, so they knew he was there. But part of the investigation is how much after that information.
What did you do?
Yeah, what happened and how far
did you not communicate
from that?
Or did you not communicate to the former president that there is an imminent threat against him? We've spotted a shooter.
Yeah.
To clear this, you understand?
It's you of the police and the security.
The whole thing fall apart at the highest level.
Both.
Shall we open the phones?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's open my lines. You know the numbers. Let's get to it. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning.
Morning, Dr. Paul, Wendell, and Richard.
Good morning.
I was waiting here when you all speak about the SS lady, Secret Service lady, because you know, Paul, you said that yesterday that was going to be the end of her.
Yes.
But you know, I found that was not right. She should not, because the investigation is still going on. If she couldn't answer the question, she couldn't answer the questions. The investigation is ongoing, and she has no information.
No. She resigned. There were some questions she could have answered because some questions related to preparation for the event. So there were some questions she could have answered. She was clearly adamant she was not going to answer anything.
Well, I still find she should not have resigned. I find that is not fair.
Really? Okay.
I don't think she had a
well, the buck stops with her, you know.
I don't think she resigned, you know. I say there's resign and there's resign.
Yeah, but I really thought I felt it for her because I mean it's only a matter of like a week and 2 days or so, 8 days or so, and they wanted to answer every question. And then you remember Miss Marjorie Green is a back on our list, you know. So,
but it's not only Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's every
all of you Republicans
person who questioned her, chided her about her performance as leader. It wasn't Marjorie Taylor Greene's across the aisle. They were all calling for a resignation. So don't blame Marjorie Taylor Greene at all.
But I don't like her, so that's why. And and the other thing too, Wendell, when Brian Lara did play only wanted under Vivian Richards, and that was the last test. But you know, part of the book that the excerpt that I read, where he was going out at the time, and you know, he always set to go because he always carrying the towel and the water, right? And Richards called him back and tell him go in the nets. But guess what? He didn't mind. He said he couldn't regret that because look at what made him today, right? All this other practice, which is good. So, in other words, you cry, yes, for nobody to see, and you made a name for yourself. So, Richard and Carl Hooper, all the children, man.
What's wrong with crying?
Excitement. Yes. Let the book get a little excitement now. Because it could just be boring cricket, like how people say, but I love cricket. So I would say boring. I want a hand on I want to buy that book as soon as it is available to us.
See, boy.
There you go.
Right.
There you
So
go. All right, thank
good
you.
morning. And I'm looking forward to 710.
All right.
I'm looking forward to win it.
Thank
And
you.
there's no harm in a man making you cry. Absolutely none.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I listened to the news last night and then I heard it on the radio from you all just now when Paul read it. And you see that young officer who got shot, the TTPS have to say they're lucky more of the officers did not get shot or killed during that patrol they were making. Because I can't understand how this is not the first time they were shooting in the St. Paul area. And you telling me the police never go up there and carry out a search? I tell you, we real joking, you know? I don't know. I think like they waiting for another 1990 to take place in this country. Because you have St. Paul Street shoot up the place 2 months ago. Gonzales, who down the hill shooting, them up the hill. They kill 3 men. Go in the Port of Spain General Hospital car park, finish off the man. I know police ain't going lock down that area. Lord, all I can say, I'll say it how the Catholic says it. Lord, graciously help Trinidad. We need your help.
All right.
I think it's an SOS rally we have to send out now. You'll have a blessed day.
Yeah.
Madness.
Same to you.
Yesterday afternoon, when I got home and I came out of the car, 6 gunshots ran out. It's from a distance. Where it came from, I don't know.
You know what?
Well, I don't know where it came
So
from.
apparently Donald Trump say he not debated now.
You know
Donald
what?
Trump said what?
Like this, there's suggestions that Donald Trump said he may not be debating Kamala Harris. And so several news agencies reporting that.
I heard the opposite of that, where he said he'd love to debate.
No, he played Kamala Harris.
It's a different kettle of fish. Good morning.
Good morning. Donald Trump can't debate with Kamala Harris, so it wouldn't surprise me if he needs something from that. Paul, you all read something yesterday that I'm surprised that I don't think you all touched on it or thing. Where the High Court has made a ruling that we, the citizens, have no right to, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, no right to a speedy trial. And
There's no constitutional right to.
No constitutional right to a speedy trial. And that just glazed over as part of the news and nobody didn't talk about that.
We talked about it. We did touch on it yesterday.
Okay, well, I probably missed it then. I was in and out doing something.
You was dialing.
We didn't do it.
Wow, but that was shocking news. That was amazing news.
We wondered whether the victim, because it's the victim who had brought the case, and we wondered whether the victim would take it to the Privy Council. All of that we discussed.
How our systems run and how it will continue to run if that is the ruling of the court. Anyway, reference the body cams, Paul. When the body cams we first got the body cams, and they gave it to bike police or traffic police. That is when I knew they weren't serious about crime. And the last caller is absolutely correct. Because you can't have all them shootings in Gonzales. People making videos of gunshots left, right, and center. And you doing roadblock. You're not serious about finding guns. You understand? Saying roadblocks is not one aspect that you can do. But I said it here on the station already. I want to see an aggressive attack on going to look for these guns. Part of that is an anaconda-like exercise, going house to house, looking under galvanized, looking under thing where they hide these guns, and actively going to find these guns and get these guns off the street. The roadblock is part of it. and I'm not criticizing the roadblocks, but other things need to be done as well as intelligence-led exercises. All I've seen is one roadblock last week and everything there again, and then we've gone back to normal.
That is not true.
Am I correct? That is not true?
No.
Okay, well, maybe you know something that John public don't know. All I have seen is a roadblock yesterday, last week, maybe 2 days, and that's it. Everything gone back.
You're busy calling to her, so you mightn't see everything.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Well, I don't think you're wrong, no?
That is not true. Hey, all you may jump out.
Who is all here?
All right, let
my mayor is Chinwalin.
Arima Mayor. His worship, Baliram Maharaj, had a statement that there will be no juve in Arima.
No, they don't want anything in the dark. No activities to be held in the dark.
They don't want anything in the light either.
All right, let's take one more call before we get to the headlines. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Wendell. Morning, Paul. Morning, Steve.
Morning.
Ragoobarsingh. You know,
they want nothing in the dark, but half of the street lights in Arima are working.
Right in the dark. I see they bright up the market, man. The thing and them white. I see they bright up the market, they pay them thing and them white in front of the stall on them. No,
have you noticed the stall that blocking the only source of light to the access center? I posted up that picture. I want to put it up in Arima, you know, because Arima talk about all kind of things, but they talk about that.
Yeah.
One source of light for the access center, they're blocking. They put a boot in front of it because they couldn't tell the doubles man who was sell there, move your boot.
Yesterday I was watching Julian and the Secret Service boss. And next thing I heard, she resigned from the work. I said, look, accountability and responsibility. When that will happen in Trinidad and Tobago, way? When people
if she didn't resign, she would have been fired, you know.
Yeah, but when people will take responsibility for the action and accountability, boy. Look, England, the Prime Minister lost the election. The fella stepped down. How we in Trinidad, we lost an election over and over. And we're fighting on people. Boss people lost in the job. No responsibility. And again, bigger position. All them things going on in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to find out. I was hearing that they use bottom recall of all police officers.
What do you mean recall?
But
they said that they were restricting leave.
Yeah,
they were restricting leave and calling back people from the leave and whatnot. They always make announcements like that.
Yeah,
because a guy was telling me about some security working in a store, and he's a police. I said, yes, it's our police called estate police too. Yes, sir. But people going around and tell everybody there's police now. So we have a lot of people pretending to be police outside there earlier.
Mr. Patrick, can we beseech you to come back after 7? Because we have to do the news.
Yeah.
Headlines.
Mr. Patrick. Let's get in the headlines.
When that anytime I started talking about Arima, just say Richard, stop now.
Why?
All right,
it
headlines,
is Wednesday. You want to rush now?
We have a lot of attitude this morning. Want to take a pause?
It is Wednesday, the 24th of July.
Somebody crying this morning.
Sure,
some man go make an ex-man crying this morning.
Let us start with the Express. Guns blaze in Port of Spain. An unfortunate night of violence is how the senior police officers described the events that took place in Port of Spain. Borrowday Juve cancelled this year for Rima Borrowday. So says Mayor Balima Maharaj. He made the announcement yesterday. Fired SSA workers want names cleared. Ex-staff could reapply, but no reinstatement. Ministry, 58 more dengue cases reported. Deaths remain at 4. Teenager and woman reported missing. And cutlass suspect in cop shooting killed. Richard, do you have the Guardian?
Yes, I do. I can read the Guardian. So, of course, today is July 24th, Wednesday, July 24th. The main headline on The Guardian, mayhem in the city. Cops kill Sealots resident after police officer and civilian injured in separate shootout. And there's a picture of the Sealots resident, Jonathan Warwood. There's also a picture of the injured PC Shakala Charles. And other subheadlines on the front page, 58 more dengue cases recorded, and Hope, NTA, and COP form new coalition. What is COP or COP?
Congress of the People.
Yeah.
Richard, just read the news, please.
I got a little confused. So Hope, NTA, and COP form new coalition. So all of that is on the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. And on the back page, the main headline on the back page is USVI whips TNT men 2-1. And that's it for the front and the back of the...
On the news day, Vigil, All Stars Mangaroos hope PAN can help bring peace. Munidad check on quality of police bulletproof vests. Imber, reduction in banks reserve requirement not unusual. TT political analyst weighs in, does Kamala have traction? Judge magistrates still have jurisdiction in extraditions. Brother in Tabakit stabbing victim, ongoing feud led to his death. UNC wants answers from central bank on banks' cash reserves. Calypsonian young Creole dies. Condolences to his family, friends, and colleagues. Cop reacts as officer shot on duty. Police not taking that. And 58 new dengue cases recorded. So those are trending stories in your three major dailies for today.
You notice there's an alliance with some of our messengers.
All right, let's get the results of our morning poll.
DJ, Mrs. R, and Rena, they have an alliance on the chat too.
Our poll yesterday, do you believe Brian Lara claimed in his new book that Sir Vivian Richards made teammates cry? Results are in. 86%, 86 said yes.
When doves cry.
All right, let's get into this morning's poll.
So my suggested poll is based on the video played earlier with the Minister of National Security, who said his performance is not for him to judge. So I'm suggesting we ask, are you satisfied with the performance of the National Security Minister, Fitzgerald Hines? Is that okay?
That's fine. We would have done it for other ministers in the past. So it's fair.
Play yourself. Play yourself.
All right. So start calling, start messaging. Are you satisfied with the performance of the National Security Minister, Fitzgerald Hines? WhatsApp 3181021. Phone 222-8255. And North Americans.
I have 5 votes I want to write down early. Just put them down one time.
1099. All right. So get those votes going. Are you satisfied with the performance of the National Security Minister, Fitzgerald Hines? All right. First off the gate, Mrs. R says yes. Vianney Warwood, yes. Evans David, no. Trini B, yes. Rena Boodoo Jennings, yes. Slick Money Grip, yes. What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
We done mark down your answer already.
David Wears, what me and Mr. Patrick had to get paid for?
All right, the poll.
What?
Are you satisfied with the performance of the National Security Minister? We wrote that down already.
Satisfied.
Thank you.
You, Rena, Finba, Mrs. R, we done mark down yes for him.
Yeah. So that's what I suppose it means. Salary is now earned. You can go back and do that.
Yeah. Rena Boodoo Jennings. Yes. Slick Money Grip. Yes. Julia S. Batiste. No. Beefy Smith and Tobago. No. Finbar Collins. Yes. Alistair Hart. No. Thomas Diaz. No. Brent Hackshaw. No. Reynold Roberts. Yes. Lester Craigwell. No. Wayne Bennett, yes. Oscar Daniel, yes. Cynthia Aaron, absolutely not. What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Morning, big guy.
No, I'm not satisfied with Minister of No Security performance.
We marked down your answer already to big guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right, big guy. Thank you.
We have a crystal ball here, you know.
All right. On WhatsApp, you can put your name when you send us a WhatsApp. All right. Let's see. Howard says no. Long Islander, no. Dre, hey Dre, long time out in Rio Claro, no. Michael out in London, yes. I think it's Michael. Captain Ron, no. Jaron, no. Right. Okay, let's see. Right messages coming here.
Yes.
Yeah, Jared Garcia, absolutely no. Jess Archer Kennedy, no. Helen Prescott, no. Keegan Barrett, no. Somebody else says no. Miss Ingrid, no. Ish out in Malik, no. Cheryl Henry, just yes or no, please. Von Drayton, no. Andre, no. Pauline Buckmeyer, yes. CJ New York, no. Lando. Oh, I just want yes or no, you know. Michael Robinson, no. Right. Let's see. Cascade St. Anne's, no. Eddie on Satin Island, not. Okay. Let's see. Tony Lendo, no. What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen. Yes.
Thank you.
Oh God. You see why some people just say what they have to say when nobody show.
Yes.
You see why some but they have the right to their opinions.
Yeah. But you can't get more balance than our voters do, in most
Not according to some people.
In most cases. How they can classify this show a PNM show, I don't know.
Are you satisfied with the performance of the National Security Minister, Fitzgerald Hines?
I'm surprised they ain't calling themselves.
So 2 talk.
Ram Samaru says, hell no.
North Americans 866-525.
Look at the diversity of votes we're getting. Come on.
Yes, we are.
It's a diverse audience.
People on the streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portals. Those of you watching us on M&E TV, you can vote via WhatsApp. Well, any of you can vote via WhatsApp, 868-318-1021.
All right, as we head up towards our 7 o'clock major news. Any more votes coming in? Let me just check WhatsApp. No, okay. Right, okay. Check in here. Trevor Narima says yes. All right. All right, continue to vote. Of course, our poll will stay up on our mobile app and website till tomorrow morning. Let's get into our major news. If he is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The suspect in the shooting of PC Shakala Charles has been killed. The police commissioner assures Constable Charles will get psychosocial support to aid in his recovery. 6 fired SSA workers called on the agency's director to clear their names. The Ministry of Health says there are 58 additional lab-confirmed cases of dengue in the country. And Harris attacks Donald Trump and promises to unite Democrats at Wisconsin rally. Details in a moment. This is News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Afril Cynthia Bob. Good morning. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social Work Unit is ready to provide comprehensive psychosocial support to aid in the recovery process of Police Constable Shakala Charles. This was revealed by Commissioner of Police Earl Haywood Christopher, who gave an update after Constable Charles was shot in the chest while driving a marked police vehicle in the company with other officers of the Guard and Emergency Branch on patrol along Piccadilly Street, East Dry River, Port of Spain. Reports say the officers heard loud explosions emanating from St. Paul Street. Upon approach, they observed a silver 7-seater vehicle with the sliding doors opened and loud explosions were heard. PC Charles felt a burning sensation in his chest and upon checking realized that he had been shot. He was taken to the medical facility for treatment and is currently in a serious but stable condition. In extending her wishes for a speedy recovery, Commissioner of Police Earl Haywood Christopher said every officer of the TTPS was committed to maintaining the safety, peace, and security of TNT. The head of the TTPS said the service stood in solidarity with PC Charles and his family during this challenging time, as this situation shines the spotlight on true courage and commitment of all officers who put their lives on the line daily to safeguard communities. Meanwhile, the suspect in the shooting of PC Shakala Charles has been killed. Police reports indicate that at about 1 a.m. on Wednesday, officers of the Guard and Emergency Branch, led by Senior Superintendent Eli and Superintendent Frank, received intelligence which stated that the suspects in the shooting of Constable Charles were observed in the Sealots community. The officers then proceeded to a home along Production Drive. Upon entering, a police corporal was allegedly attacked by a man wielding a cutlass. The man allegedly swung at the corporal, hitting him to the head. The officer was wearing a helmet at the time of the incident and the blade did not cause serious injury. However, 2 officers at the scene fired on the suspect. He was taken to the Port of Spain General Hospital. However, he was pronounced dead on arrival. The suspect has not yet been positively identified. Officials have been told he was known in the community as Johnny Boy. A black Honda Vezel was removed from the scene and conveyed to the Special Evidence Recovery Unit for processing. The owner of the SUV was detained and is expected to be questioned. 6 fired workers of the Strategic Services Agency are calling on the agency's director, Anthony Philip Spencer, to clear their names in any alleged involvement of a plot to overthrow the political leadership of this country. President of the National Contract Workers and General Employees Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Christopher Jofield, confirmed that the union represents the 6 fired workers. He said a meeting was held last week at the SSA's Sackville Street Port of Spain office, where this request, among others, was placed on the mediation table. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley delivered a statement to Parliament on July 3rd, where he said the SSA was compromised with the establishment of a militarized operational unit and was infiltrated by a religious cult that wanted to replace the country's political leadership. The Ministry of Health says there are 58 additional lab-confirmed cases of dengue in the country, bringing the total number of cases to 450 laboratory-confirmed cases. Confirmed deaths remain at 4. The ministry said in a media release yesterday. On July 20th, the ministry had confirmed 392 cases of dengue. It yesterday reminded persons that dengue may be spread from the bite of an infected Aedes aegypti mosquito. It stated that symptoms appear within 5 to 6 days of being bitten, last for 1 to 2 weeks, and can include fever, headaches, sometimes severe, pain behind the eyes, muscle and joint pains, skin rash, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Vice President Kamala Harris says Donald Trump wants to take our country backward, quote unquote, speaking at a campaign rally in Milwaukee in the critical swing state of Wisconsin. Harris says she will spend the coming weeks uniting the Democratic Party. She was addressing voters for the first time since she secured enough support to become the Democratic Party's nominee for president.
So, Wisconsin, I am told as of this morning that we have earned the support of enough delegates to secure the Democratic nomination. I am so very honored, and I pledge to you I will spend the coming weeks continuing to unite our party so that we are ready to win in November.
And more news coming out of the U.S. Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle resigned after security failures surrounding an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. In her resignation letter, Ms. Cheadle said that she had always put the needs of the agency first, and it was with a heavy heart that she made her decision. She had faced calls from both Democrats and Republicans to step down after a contentious House meeting hearing on Monday about the incident. Luke Barr of ABC is following the story.
During that contentious hearing, lawmakers from both parties called on her to resign, signaling frustration with her refusal to directly answer questions, citing the ongoing investigation into the shooting. Director Cheadle accepting full responsibility, calling it the agency's most significant operational failure in decades, and acknowledging, quote, on June 13th, we failed. Cheadle forcefully pushed back against accusations that the Secret Service had denied requests for additional security at that rally.
Straight into weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy morning with few scattered showers, and the medium chance of the isolated thunderstorm will give way to mostly fair conditions as the day progresses. Nighttime will be fair but hazy, initially becoming partly cloudy with few showery spells. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding can occur in the event of heavy showers or thunderstorms. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 25 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 26 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the suspect in the shooting of PC Shakala Charles has been killed. The police commissioner assures Constable Charles will get psychosocial support to aid in his recovery. 6 fired SSA workers call on the agency's director to clear their names. The Ministry of Health says there are 58 additional lab-confirmed cases of dengue in the country, and Harris attacks Trump and promises to unite Democrats at Wisconsin rally. I'm Avril Sindel-Bob. The next major newscast can be heard at 12 noon today. Look out for a news update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again. Come at 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right, so thank you, Avi. Quickly taking a look at what's happening on the highways and the byways. We just got some volume on the Valencia stretch going to Santa Rosa to O'Meara, heavier from Trin City to UE. Macoya Road is also heavy, and then volume again as you pass to the interchange, and you'll pick up your traffic headed in the Port of Spain. Chase Village, you've got some there. After Sugar Gorners, you have no problem as you head to the interchange. Rivulet Road's a bit busy, and leaving San Fernando towards Claxton Bay, you got some volume as well. Checking our votes to see if we have any more. David Wares says no. Josie Richardson says no. And let's see.
David Wares had already said no, He had already voted early on.
Okay. And Sexy San Fernando says no. Mm-hmm. Nothing new on WhatsApp. So that's it. The results of our poll.
Richard, before Richard
this morning was, are you satisfied with the performance of the National Security Minister, Fitzgerald Hines? We had 45 people voting in the allotted time. Of the 45 people, 31 said no, they're not satisfied. 14 said yes. So 13 said no, and 14 said yes. So the nays have it. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through our programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday. Mm-hmm. And the weekend begins on Thursday after midnight.
All right. So where did he go?
He got up. But just before we get Dr. Wayne Head in, 4 Venezuelan men serving a life sentence for one of the largest drug busts in the country are set to receive $60,000 in compensation after prison authorities failed to conduct period sentence reviews for them. The High Court Judge Westman James ordered the compensation for the 4 Venezuelan men. Isn't that something?
Good morning, Dr. Haid.
Up.
Where you going again?
Up again, Parliament.
It almost looked like a review of when he got up just now. A repeat.
What trouble is this?
I think he checking out headphones. That's what I'm talking about. That I have a pair of headphones that I haven't programmed to my laptop as yet. You know.
Yeah, not easy.
You mean program to your laptop? You mean add on by Bluetooth?
Yeah.
That's not called programming.
He sound a little old, eh? He sound old. Did I just open the thing, you know, Wendell?
I just have not done it as yet.
Good morning, Dr. Haid. How are you this morning?
Morning, I'm fine. Are you
Good afternoon where you are in Kampala, Uganda. Is it
yes,
afternoon?
Actually, afternoon. Yes, it is.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
His voice has not changed one iota. How long have you been out there since when you left Trinidad, Dr. Haid? How long have you been left?
I left officially in 1998 when I went to work for the UN in Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
But administratively, I remained a police officer until 2005 when I officially retired.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's almost 20 years.
Yes.
Right. Is it correct that you also applied since then for the position of Commissioner of Police?
Yes, I did. You mean in the initial, the first one in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an interesting story in itself.
Would you care to share it with us?
Yes, I went through the entire process. I was over 60 years of age, between 60 and 61 when I applied. And so basically I was at the same age that Ulla Christopher, and then before her, McDonald Jacob found themselves at that juncture. And I went through the entire process. And on the final list, I was number 3. From what the Police Service Commission themselves did in their own internal assessment. There were a number of assessments and people kept leaking things to the press about the positions of people at various times. But you remember there were about 5 different processes, including 2 interviews, examinations, assessment, medical reports, and all these things that went into the process. And then at the end of all of that, after the Service Commission did their own assessment, I was number 3. It was.
Who were the 2 persons ahead of you, Dr. Haid?
Stephen Williams and Gary Griffith.
Okay.
And then overnight, well, maybe not overnight, it seems that the Police Service Commission went to get legal advice from senior counsel that I should not be included in the merit list because I was over 60. Even though it was a contract, it was not like I was in the service and I was proceeding to go into the beyond 60, because in that instance it will fall under the police service regulations for a serving police officer to serve up to a period of 3 extra years. It happened with James Philbert, it happened with Kenny Mohammed before him, and then of course it happened with Jacob for 1 year, and now Ulla Christopher.
Yes.
But in my case, it was a contract. And throughout the entire process, they never made an issue about my age until that time. And then I was knocked out of the merit list, and they brought 2 persons, Deodat Dulalchan and Harold Phillip, who did not apply for commissioner. They applied for deputy commissioner.
How do you mean you were knocked out? What does that mean?
It means that they decided that my name will not go on the merit list because they got legal advice. They never informed me. I don't think they informed the government or the president or anybody, but that decision was made by the Police Service Commission. And the members of the commission included Martin George, sorry. So maybe you should ask him. And that is how my name did not appear on the merit list. Because I felt that had my name been on the merit list, I would have been given favorable consideration by both government side and opposition side. But
because your name was being circulated as the preferred candidate at the time, I remember that.
Well, for some people, but in the end, what ended up happening is that you had Dulalchan first, Harold Phillips second, Stephen Williams third, and Gary Griffith fourth, and they stopped there. Because
so hold up a second there, Dr. Haid. You're saying that the two people who applied for deputy, they didn't apply for commissioner, ended up at the top of the commissioner list?
Yes. And not only that, the Police Service Commission lied when they went before the Joint Committee of Parliament, the JSC, because they were asked, they said that they asked all the candidates whether they wish to be considered for both commissioner and deputy commissioner. Because on the form you had to apply, you have to indicate whether you're applying for commissioner, deputy commissioner, or both. I indicated only commissioner. Harold Phillip and Deodat Dulalchan told me themselves that they did not apply for commissioner. They only applied for deputy. And the Police Service Commission told them that they asked all the candidates whether they wish to be considered for both posts. They never asked me that question. And from what I heard, they never asked that of Gary Griffith either.
Is that the iteration of the commission that collapsed?
Yes.
Oh, well, no surprise.
Marie Therese, Gomes, well, they seem to be all collapsing for different reasons. But that one had a collapse after. Yeah.
Never that moment. So you're in Kampala, Uganda.
Yes, I am.
And no doubt, being the patriot that you are, you've had several years in the police service. You were a well-known Calypsonian. Did you ever Calypso monarch at one point?
No, I came third. I was independence monarch.
Yeah, you did very well in Calypso. We remember, a lot of people remember you from that. So when you look at Trinidad and Tobago and the crime situation, what thoughts come to your mind? What do you think about what's happened? We had a spate of murders, 2 weekends ago. The police are out with different operations now. What are your thoughts on the evolving criminality in this country?
It was to be expected. Because we live in an in-between world. In between a world where violence and crime flourish in many parts of the world, in many countries. At the same time, we live close to a superpower whose policies determine and dictate what you should do in your country with respect to addressing crime. So, for example, they have determined that the death penalty under human rights principles to be considered cruel and unusual punishment. Yet at the same time, in the United States, the death penalty still exists in many states and carried out. But on the international front, their international policy is to dictate and determine what you will put, what you will have in your laws, whilst at the same time, they will have restrictions, or they will determine, even when they are signing treaties, what reservations they would have to certain parts of those international principles. So that is what Trinidad has faced. A small country with a porous border near a neighbor that is disintegrating in parts in Venezuela, but at the same time dictated by...
Is it that you're linking the inability to apply the death penalty to the evolving criminality in the country? Is that your thesis here?
That is one of it. That is just... I am saying that for heinous crimes, the death penalty should be on the table and should be implemented. And if you remember, there are a lot of jurists in our country and lawyers who went ahead and fought for donkey years to stop us from hanging people, which led to the Pratt and Morgan decision and all of these things. And in the end, what happened? When they wanted to hang people in 1998, didn't they find a way? And then subsequent to that, what did Mr. Vernon Dilemma himself said? One of the staunch defenders of people charged with certain heinous crimes, when he was a victim, and his family was victimized, he understood then. And yes, I am saying that. I know some of you on the panel may have a difference of opinion on that matter. I am saying at the state of time and affairs that we have in Trinidad and Tobago, we cannot take that off the table, and we should use it. Some of those people cannot be reformed.
Dr. Head, going back to your application for Commissioner of Police, if in fact you were appointed Commissioner of Police, what would you have done different to what we have seen thus far? Because you would have had a lot to say about commissioners of police that we would have had here. I would have had the pleasure of listening to some of your lengthy blogs. What would you have done differently?
But you must realize I don't criticize commissioners per se. I try to avoid that, except if they make mistakes or they say something which is not proper, then I would comment on it. But in terms, the commissioner of police job is an extremely difficult job because they want the commissioner to be an ace crime fighter. At the same time, they want the person to be an eloquent spokesman or woman. They want the person to be a politician, to be able to talk to both sides and hold the middle at the same time. And they want the commissioner to be responsible and accountable for everything that happens, even things that are not within his or her control. So one of the things I think I'm good at is advocacy. And I was not going to be, as commissioner, sitting down and not talking like how I am now about the things that the police service needs. For example, we cannot talk about addressing gun crime whilst at the same time having a revolving door for criminals coming in and out of jails for gun-related offenses. But as commissioner of police, I don't control that part of it, but I can advocate for what is to be done and would not shut up until some change takes place. But internally in the service, there are problems. Discipline has broken down. People are not being charged for departmental offenses anymore and being taken to task. What you see happening, for example, is that anything a police officer does, they want to charge the officer for misbehavior in public office, which has now become the favorite crime or the only crime that seems to exist in the country in terms of dealing with officials. Misbehavior in public office. And once you do that, you have removed your ability to address the discipline of that police officer because the case will take 10 years, 15 years to be tried. And by that time, the witnesses die, change their mind, the file get lost, rat eat the cocaine or whatever, and then it's all lost. And the power to discipline has been given back to the commissioner several years ago, but yet still no action is taken. There are officers who are bringing the service into disrepute, and they should be charged for that and dismissed. Whilst you do that, it still does not prevent you from taking them to the criminal court under that particular standard. But right now, we keep talking about corruption in the service, but we have done nothing internally to remove the corrupt persons. You understand? And I argued, and some of you would have heard, of course, that I'm saying the failure of the service is because of kinship, friendship, and relationships. Unfortunately, myself, I have an attitude, I don't care.
What does that mean? What are you saying that nepotism and batch connections, etc., is one of the reasons that the police can't self-regulate and purge itself of the errant elements? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm saying that exactly. But not just batch, because batches go. I'm talking about the friendship that occurs between people within the service, or the relationships, personal and otherwise. And yes, people bringing in their friends, their family, their concubines, everybody into the work. And then people are afraid to talk to people or to discipline them because they know somebody else in the work that they could talk to and make life difficult. That has permeated the service to a large extent. And then at the same time, the training aspect of the service that in creating that esprit de corps has broken down because they have made the training college or the training almost like a high school, where people could go home and come back when they wish and not have to do certain menial tasks and things that help to build an esprit de corps and to build a certain level of discipline and to let them know that no matter where they come from in society, they all become equal. But from the time they decided to stop people with school living certificates like myself from entering the service and make it an academic meritocracy, people lost all faith in having in the service as a place where they will build themselves, build their careers, and build the country.
Well, I want to go back to your point, Dr. Head, about the issues of the indiscipline in the police service, because one of the things that came out of the recent JSC National Security when the heads of divisions were there is 3 out of the 4 indicated that one of the biggest challenges when asked in the police service, they used the word culture change, which I thought was a euphemism for discipline. Then what of the Professional Standards Bureau and the Police Complaints Authority? Is it that they are important in dealing with these issues?
Yes, they are. The Police Complaints Authority is an external body and does not have legal or even practical authority to demand or get or interfere with certain aspects of the police service in terms of going inside and knowing what is happening. And a lot of them, most of them, are civilians who don't understand the culture of the police service. The professional standards section is part of the service. So is himself to himself. You go back to the same thing about kinship, friendship, relationships will have an impact on how their ability to even challenge or discipline or attempt to discipline their own or some of the officers who are senior to them. And that remains an element of
but there's nobody more senior than the Commissioner of Police. There's no one more senior than the Commissioner of Police and the DCPs. So if we are to accept your thesis that there is an indiscipline / corruption issue, in some instances the indiscipline leads to corruption, then it's an absence of action on the part of the leadership of the police service that you're suggesting is partly to blame for the continued indiscipline and or corruption.
And let me add to that. Let me add to that,
Yes,
Dr. Hayden. Let me add to that. Because which is the reason why when you are applied, you were popular, and when Gary Griffith got it, he was also popular because he didn't come from that culture, and we thought that we would have seen that change. So, but we still here. We worse off than we were before.
Well, there's a difference. Gary Griffith was never a police officer. And so he was never part of that culture and understanding of that internal culture. I was, or I am. So I had an insight into even knowing those people personally, and they knew that I had a propensity to speak my mind, to act when needs to be something needs to be acted upon, and not be afraid to pull the devil by the tail, as it were. But internally, there's a trickle-down effect. You have to remember that in the disciplinary system, it is certain officers who are authorized to conduct disciplinary tribunals, let's say. And I know about disciplinary tribunals because I represented maybe 100 police officers during my time in the Association for Disciplinary Offenses. So I know the process. But what happens after that? The commissioner himself or herself will be aware that there are people within the service that somehow you can't seem to be able to touch them. Because today they are police officer and tomorrow they're sitting in parliament or they're on the stump making speeches. So therefore, internally, that has had an effect and an impact on the ability of those who want to do something. There are officers who give them the opportunity, they will do something. They will act on it and they will take action. But on the left and on the right, they're not sure who will be their bedfellows when it's time to take that action.
Dr. Hill, are you surprised by the revelations coming out of the Strategic Services Agency?
No, I'm not surprised.
Why?
Because we saw similar things happening in the past. Where sometimes, look, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And you need and you must have that kind of entity within your society and within your governmental structure. But there must be a certain level of control. And the question would be, who is going to guard the guards? Because once you put the persons in there and there's insufficient oversight, then all of these things are going to happen. You remember in the old days
Pause. So what? Because every agency, SSA, SAUTT, SORT, ABCDEFGHIJK, fall under the ambits overall of the Ministry of National Security. And then it comes down, whether it be the police service, the defense force, the Coast Guard, etc. What, to your knowledge, was or should have been the oversight mechanism for an agency like the SSA? And why did that oversight mechanism fail so abysmally?
Well, I'm aware that you are part of an oversight committee. And the issues that are supposed to be raised with respect to problems internally must come through a process whereby the ills can be aired. It is not one person's responsibility to do it. Let me give an example, which is I see happening now. The former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, has made an allegation against the Prime Minister with respect to allocation of resources and what was supposed to be the reason for those resources. But nobody is asking the question then, okay, what happened to the resources? Was it spent in the way that was dictated? Because if it was, it meant that the commissioner was also part of the conspiracy and also committed an offense. If the Prime Minister in fact committed an offense.
But the former commissioner made the allegation about the alleged dictate for the money. The commissioner never said that he acquiesced.
But that's the point. So the point to be made is this. That is where the evidence, and for those of you who are lawyers will know that evidence is very important, and the linkage between one thing to the other. You can't just say I was given this money to do this, but I spent the money on something else. How was the money spent? And then you go back into the paperwork to look to see what the money was actually allocated for and what happened on the ground.
For the record, the Prime Minister's denied. So let's put all the information on the table.
I agree. And that's the point I'm making, is that you see these allegations being out there, but nobody wants to ask the hard questions. And the same thing happened with the SSA. There are hard questions to be asked. Who allowed the transfers of firearms from one entity to another without oversight? How could somebody who is not...
No, we halfway around the world, so we'll have some glitches.
Yeah, he might have to take off his video. He may have to take off his video.
It was going fine. I guess he'll reconnect in a while.
Yeah. If he takes off his video, I don't think we'll have a problem.
But I don't want him to take over the video.
Take off his video.
Take off the video, sorry.
Yeah. All right. So we just have a little technical difficulties with Dr. Haid. But I really want to ask him, and I don't know if he's listening, about his thoughts on the exponential rise in the issuance of firearm users license and how he would have treated with it.
I was just trying to get back to the question of the academic meritocracy that he mentioned. I mean, but you're all busy asking questions, so I couldn't get it in. But basically, if you're saying remove the academic qualifications and go back to just having?
That's the impression I got. I got the impression that he was chastising the process that did not take into consideration academic meritocracy.
Yeah, I got that impression.
No, I got the impression that he is saying that the academic meritocracy should not be in place because because he said he entered via school leaving certificate.
Oh, okay, maybe we could ask him. When
But Richard, you had to with Paul. Remember, Paul is a big. You had to push your way past Paul sometimes. Don't be afraid. You see how I do it.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Just staring into the camera. What do you want me to do? Leave
I just do that to the black move and let me pass.
Jump in and say what you have to say. Or you're going to stay in space sometimes not asking nothing. What am I do? Leave 4 seconds there, yeah?
No, I agree with you. That's why I'm telling Richard, you have to push your way through, man. Push your way through, don't afraid him.
Jump in.
I am not a pushy person, and I don't want to.
When? And what? The second Tuesday every month.
Kadim, I know you're being sarcastic, but that, to me, that is an important question. How would he have treated with the exponential rise in the issuance of firearm users license? Because he would have been commissioner. It's a commissioner issue, you know. He has had a lot to say, you know, and I've listened to a lot of what he has had to say over the years. Trust me. He being general, he being kind with his words this morning.
He needs to be kind.
Yeah.
You know, we have limited legal fees.
True.
Very limited. Okay.
We have a whole department.
Is very small. It's only Ragoobarsingh.
Paul, we have a whole department there in the middle of the screen there to back us. Where you going?
It's your jump out for us? We're waiting on like the authority block we?
Yeah. Just block out Dr. Haid. We had this problem with somebody already, you know, remember?
Anita.
Yeah, they wouldn't give us a chance to interview them at the time. Well, now, what about them dissidents and them? They gone quiet. As you say, Anita. They've all gone very quiet.
He's trying to log back in.
Yeah, okay. So we'll hold on. Well, we could chat a bit still whilst we wait on him. It's 7:42, so we have quite a bit of time this morning. Anyway, Paul, I'll message you concerning a request from someone, right?
I'll have a pong for you offline. I'm not give you this one. I'll come around box with this one.
I'll be there today, and I'll be there. Well, no, I probably won't be there Friday, but I'll be there today, God willing.
Then probably somebody who let me not say anything before I get in trouble. Oh God, someone has to bite my tongue. Yes? I said, why are you telling me these things? Why? I don't need to know. I don't want to know. I want to have plausible deniability.
I just always prefer when somebody else bites it. I just sent you a message, right? Yes. You'll respond to it.
You can start to log back in, Kampala. Have bad internet or it.
People taking the cup to court for fuel and their success. What that's
well, let's take a couple of calls while we await Dr. H trying to log back in.
So 222 talk 222-8255 North Americans 866-525-1099. We're opening up the lines in the interim while we wait for Wayne to reconnect. Apparently, he's having some connecting issues on his end.
Or maybe the authority block us. Please get blocked, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I of course I doubt that. Y'all are two conspiracy theorists.
We just get blocked. But brother, you forget the pastor, bro, we get blocked.
Let's grab this call.
We talk to him. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I would like to hear Mr. Hayes' opinion on these among the allegations made by Mr. Griffith and the issuing of firearms and what that whole I would really like to hear what is his take on that, because we have nobody here who could talk about that. I feel Mr. Wade, that's why I asked Mr. Hayes. I feel he's the only person who could really give us a different light on this thing than the rah from Gary, and really hear something serious. Because all he's saying is one thing and nobody else can say nothing else.
So you're saying Gary Griffith not serious?
Why would they like to say the man Ryan? I don't understand that.
He makes his
point. Thank you, caller.
But Wendell, you see that when he watch me, listen, the man good. Every time he talk about the prime minister, watch me. Every time Gary come, the prime minister ain't good. The minister of national security ain't good. The police commissioner ain't good. The ex-police ain't good. Everybody is good. At the man tell
but he has the right to his opinion, man. Not because you disagree with him, he doesn't have the right to his opinion.
Hell hath no fury. Hell hath no fury as a commissioner scorned, you know. People feel as well.
Why is it that he doesn't have the right to his opinion on those issues? The Prime Minister has his opinion on Gary Griffith. Why the reverse can't be true?
All right, listen to me. Yes, he have his opinion. But I also have my opinion, because listen to me. The man is the things he's saying. Okay, for example, he tackled 23 with money only do a vote. And the 23 people that vote, he tackled that too.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
And he tackled that. Okay. Other than that, the Prime Minister wear a jersey, and he tackled that too. That is what I'm talking about, the man. Out there, you know.
So you're saying he rah-rahs a lot. That's what you're saying.
Yes, he watch me. It have a lot of things behind. When you hear people talking, so it doesn't have a lot of things back, and it can't nobody to really come and say X and Y. And when you hear people talking like that, I have learned that. Watch me. I employ people, I train people, I fire people, I hire people, and I learn a lot of things. I supervise men who could have been my grandfather and all kinds of things. So I've learned a lot of things about people and the behavior. You know?
You never go one of Richard's plays. Richard is
all right, thank you.
Play, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Right, this play too.
Mr. Hines is doing the best he could. I don't think what else more he can do. The Coast Guard is doing the best they can, because they are not getting help, and these liars that keep fattening these people's pockets that come in the country and not behaving themselves.
So you're saying we have to live with this crime situation because everybody's doing the best, and this is it?
No. What you're
saying? What exactly you're saying then?
All right. The judiciary has a lot to do with the nonsense that's going on, and nobody is blaming the judiciary. Everybody is blaming the police and everybody else.
People blame the judiciary too. The judiciary comes under criticism.
Yes, but what is the judiciary doing for them not to get blamed? Everything still remains the same. Put somebody in charge.
There's a whole amendment to the indictment.
All right, thank you, San Fernando.
There's so much legislation that has been passed. Anyway.
Well, welcome back, Dr.
Wade.
Dr. Wade, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you very much.
Wayne Hayde. We're saying Wade, you know, it's Hayde.
It's Hayde. But by my name, I've been called everything. Out here, they don't know the name Wayne Hayde, so they call me Whiny Heidi sometimes. Just looking at the
like that though. Whiny Heidi.
Right. So before we had that technical interruption, you were talking about questions that needed to be asked and answered.
Yes. And with respect to the SSA, too many things were happening that nobody seemed to be paying attention to. Now, there are linkages, and when I saw some of the reports coming out and a pastor is in charge or virtually in charge, not de jure, but de facto from what it appeared, or had some control over the people of the SSA, that was stunning to me. And I wanted to know, why did it take so long for someone to notice that something is going wrong? Look, I have said some things that has been controversial, and I would say it. I was always fearful that the illegal guns in Trinidad will be joined with the legal ones, which seem to have been handed out willy-nilly to people that could be used together to initiate another 1990 or something worse than that. And wow. I am not making any allegations against anybody, but I would say when you are having firearms unaccounted for in the hands of people who have access to information that the rest of us don't have, and when you have people being granted firearm users license with variations, and maybe I should start by asking the people on the panel here, how many of you have received FULs in the last few years? Because
not me.
I am worried when you hear people receiving 7 firearms, 10, 20, 30 and above. That is not for use in self-protection.
Well, Dr. Head, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. In other words, how would you have treated with a situation like that? What are your thoughts on the exponential rise in the issuance of firearm users license? You kind of started to answer it already, so maybe you could go a little deeper.
Yes. I have no objection to granting firearm users license to people who I believe should have it and ought to have it for different reasons, because licenses could be for personal protection, it could be for hunting, it could be for killing pests on your farm, it could be for being part of shooting clubs and so on, it could even be for starting pistols and so on to start races. And I have felt in the past that the commissioners were too restrictive in terms of the amounts that they were granting to people. My own philosophy is, in 1990, early 1990, especially 1992, when I was president of the Police Association, which, by the way, I founded together with Christopher Holder, we advocated for arming police officers whilst they were off duty. And that was one of the biggest fights we had with the commissioner at the time, Jules Bernard in particular. There was only some ease when Kenny Mohammed became commissioner and he began issuing firearms to police officers when they were off duty. And then when the next commissioner, Hilton Guy, came in, he locked it back down. I have said my own philosophy is that I will not wait for people who I believe are in situations where they need firearms, especially for personal protection, to apply for one. I will invite them to apply. And judges, magistrates, members of parliament, persons, businessmen and women, persons doing jobs that place them at risk. Look how long it took for us to arm prison officers. It shouldn't have taken that long. But it doesn't mean that when you make an application, you automatically get it, because there must be a process of vetting. And then, besides vetting, if there's evidence that comes out that you are involved in anything which makes you a risk, then if I issue a firearm to you, I will take it back. Like, for example, if you have a firearm user's license and then you get charged for rape, I would say, or sedition, or sedition, or anything of that nature, I would remove your firearm immediately because I think that you can pose a risk not only to the victims, but also to yourself.
But do you agree with the recent charge of sedition being laid against the blogger Chris Hughes?
Well, I don't know the facts involved in the case to make an assumption as to whether the evidence supports the charge. What I would say is this, that the charge of sedition is extremely hard to prove. And unless they have evidence within his telephone and other instruments that they seized that showed that he was encouraging, supporting, or leading these persons to make statements and perform acts against the state, then I think that the charge will not hold. But as I said, I don't know what evidence they have collected in the interim.
Yeah.
They might
That
have
was always a bit of a stretch anyway. But you know, earlier you talked about academic qualifications and the academic meritocracy to enter the police service. Is it that you're saying that you think they should revert to what existed before?
I have made this argument, and I have said, I have said, like, for example, to enter the service, I entered the service with a school living certificate because I never attended secondary school. I began studying in the service from the age of 25 on the advice of Dr. Dorrell Charles Phillip, who was teaching a police course for persons to be detectives. And she advised me to do it because she saw something in me. And I took the advice, and I spoke to one of my batches who was in the course, speaking of friendship. And he said, yeah, let's go and do it and go and study. And he studied as well, became an attorney like me, also became a member of the Police Service Commission and a member of the Integrity Commission. So there's nothing that says that those with lower levels of education can't come in and do well in the service. My advice is that they should do an equivalency exam where the persons who don't have the requisite O levels can write that equivalency exam that they will pay for. And if they pass it, then they are put on the same footing as the other candidates. But I always believe that when I joined the service because it was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a policeman, and my choices in terms of a profession or a life was limited based on where I came from and my educational background. And the police was a place that offered me that sanctuary and helped to build me into the individual I am today.
What steps do you think should be taken presently by the police or whatever agencies available in the fight against crime to seriously make incursions and sustainable incursions into crime in this country? What do you think is missing in the approach?
What is missing is, one, legislation that makes mandatory sentencing available for gun-related crimes. That must be on the table. All gun crimes must have mandatory sentencing. As you get caught, you go to jail and you remain there with an escalating amount.
What do you mean by that? For the purpose of the audience, what do you mean by mandatory sentencing? On the point of facing the judicial officer?
Once you are tried, you're charged for an offense. Let's say it's possession of firearm. The penalty on conviction should be a mandatory 10 years imprisonment. Unless you enter into a plea bargaining and it can be reduced to, let's say, 7 or 6. But once you go through the process and you get convicted, 10 years for possession, gun parts, 15 years for if you use the firearm in use of certain offenses with an escalator. So 20 years or 25 years if you use it and you engage in a rape or home invasions, those kinds of things. If you don't do that, you are not going to make those guys change their mind with respect to how they treat people once they have the guns. And the bail act, yes, they must remain in prison. You cannot solve the problem by saying that you could reform or redeem those persons. The stable door is open, the horse has already gone. That must happen. And if you and then in addition to which, you must have changes in the structure of policing. The old method still works. You just have to add it to the new method.
So you're saying some people are you saying some people are beyond rehabilitation? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm saying that.
Even if they're 18,
Yes,
19, even if they're that young?
If they have
18,
10 bodies
19,
on them,
20?
if they have 10 bodies on them, yes.
But we're talking about firearm possession. They may not have killed anybody. But
that's
you're talking
what
about if you're talking about mandatory sentencing, then it means the nuances are not available.
No, the nuances are available. I just said if you go through a plea bargaining process, it can be reduced. And also too, look, when you were 18 years old, or anyone on the panel, I'm sure you were not in possession of firearms looking to rob and kill and shoot people. So we like to say that, okay, a person is an adult at 18 years of age and a minor at 17, but the world has changed. They can do anything they want at 18 years of age. Why can't they do hard time if they're doing hard crime? I know we like to think that our children or relatives are not beyond redemption, but that is for the religion. That is not for when they're shooting people on the streets and killing people in their cars. Any one of you could become a victim tomorrow. Not because they targeted you, but because you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they don't care. Once you start making examples, maybe you don't have to make examples of everybody, but you make examples of some, I am telling you, it is going to change. Look, I have been in countries where we don't make those arguments, okay? Where I'm in Uganda here, for example, if you get caught with a firearm, you're going before a military tribunal. And yes, you could get the death penalty in some instances and long jail sentences. But so the difference is that in all the murders that they're committed in Uganda, which is like a 10% of on the scale, if you're looking at to what happens in Trinidad, given the population, only about 6%, if so much, are committed with firearms. Contrast that with Trinidad and Tobago and see how much are committed with firearms. If you don't understand that you have a gun problem rather than having a crime problem, then you're sadly mistaken. If you remove the guns from the equation, all of the other issues you're talking about in terms of reform, in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of addressing domestic violence, mental issues, and other issues that
you
could
spoke,
lead
Dr. Hayden, a lot about the legally issued guns, but you haven't touched on the preponderance, because the evidence is that most of the crimes are being committed by illegal firearms coming into the country illegally, which we have not been able to stymie. What are your thoughts on that, and why we have not been able to, through legal ports, coming into the country?
Because we have allowed corruption among certain entities in the country to remain for so long, and nobody is taking action to address it. But if you let's deal with the illegal firearms. I bet you, if people found in possession of illegal firearms, even those who are importing or transporting or moving, go to jail for a long time, you will see a sudden drying up.
But you have to find the ones who illegally importing it. You have to find them first. You have to identify them and charge them.
No, you don't. Sometimes you don't always have to go top down. You could go bottom up. What you need to do, the danger to the society are those who shooting the others and killing people with the guns.
You have no argument with me there, but those are the ones who are ending up on the wrong set of bullets to the tune of 300 every year. They are ones unfortunately being replaced by new ones, while the importers are not being identified and or charged.
I agree with you on that. But how are we going to identify them? First, we have to have control systems within the country through the ports and through our customs and branches and so on. That is where the majority of guns are coming. But then you have a porous border because we are next to Venezuela. You think tons of guns are not coming through Venezuela? We were always part of the transshipment route for cocaine from South America. So therefore, guns accompanied the shipment. But now you have a disintegration of Venezuela, which could lead to greater propensity for firearms coming across the border. What do? Then maybe we should do like they do here and put them, you face the death penalty for certain possession of certain firearms. For example, automatic firearms. Would you agree or not agree that if someone is found in possession, let's say of an automatic firearm, that they should not come out of jail except in the most extenuating circumstances while on bail, and we've convicted, serve 25 years in jail? Don't you think that that will have a chilling effect?
Well, the recent amendment of the Bail Act speaks to that.
No, it does not speak to sentencing. And let me tell you, as we're talking about that, our judiciary are good at the law, but they are not good at really protecting the society from the criminals. Because they are more concerned about every aspect of human rights that has been violated, which we sometimes brought upon ourselves, because in Singapore, for example, and I used to be in Singapore a lot, if they catch you spraying graffiti on the walls illegally, you could get sentenced and get lashes. If they find you in importing drugs into the country, you face the death penalty. And in Indonesia, where I was a lot as well.
Dr. Haid,
yeah,
we're out of time, but I'm going to ask you to commit to come back next week with us to continue this conversation, because it's a really interesting conversation, and we would love to have you next week if you are available and are willing. Is that okay?
Yes, I'm a retiree now.
Because we have a lot to discuss, and based on the responses from the chat, people are really enjoying your contribution. So we're going to put a pause here and invite you back next week. I'll be in contact offline, and we will continue this conversation in many other areas of life in Trinidad and Tobago next week. Okay?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Have a good
Thank you so much, Dr. Haid. You are better fit here this morning. Trust me.
So you all have a great day. Be safe.
All right. I wish when he comes back next week, though, he could be free to speak the way he speaks on his blogs.
You have Richard as a lawyer. We don't. Have a great day.
I heard that. Ask me the question, I'll answer.
Anyway, he's an attorney at law, so he can help to defend us if he puts us in trouble. Have a great day.
All right, folks. Have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God.
All right,
yeah, have a great one. Remember to smile and laugh. It's good for your health.